On this episode of Long Riders Radio, we're going to talk with some random rookie we found who finished somewhere in the top 50. Coming up! Support for Long Riders Radio comes from DiscountRamps.com. DiscountRamps.com offers a huge selection of power sports products for your ATV, UTV, motorcycle, and more. Everything you need to load, haul, or transport your power sports toys. Long Riders Radio listeners can save 15% off their order by using coupon code LONG. That's LONG at DiscountRamps.com. Well, hey there everyone, Justin here. First episode back from the 2021 Iron Butt Rally. And as has been the tradition, the first episode back will be an interview with the winner of that event. And so we'll get into it with Mr. Mike Brooke. Come up here in a second. Did want to make a quick shout that, hey, this is our 100th episode on this podcast. And I never thought we'd get to 100, but we did. And that is in no small part due to the support that I've received from people out there, both people who are Patreon supporters, people who give one-time donations, people who bought shirts, bought stickers, people who use that discount code at discountramps.com. I mean, every single one of you has made it possible for me to make this show, and I can't thank you enough. Second thing I wanted to talk about before we got into it with Mike is just a thank you to Lisa Landry, Michael Kneebone, Jeff Earls, and every single one of the volunteers and staff on the Iron Butt Rally. You have once again put on the pinnacle of rally events, and everything is second to none and first class. And I want to throw a very special thank you to Jeff Earls, because I mentioned in the episode that the only similarity about a Jeff Earls rally is that it's not like the last Jeff Earls rally or any other Jeff Earls rally. And I want to add one more thing onto that, and that is that every aspect of that route was meticulously laid out. And there was a reason why that particular bonus had a time limit. There was a reason why this bonus was placed in this place and not this place. And I can only imagine how difficult that was for Jeff, given all the restrictions and whatnot that were going into COVID. He created an event that could have very easily been run during the pandemic, and with minor changes could have been run last summer, quite frankly. So thank you to Jeff for his hard work on that. I'm sure it took him an entire year to do it, and he did a phenomenal job as always, and really can't thank him enough, and all the rest of the staff and Lisa and Mike for making those 11 days of my life so very special. I can't thank you enough. So with that, let's get into it with Mike, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Well, on the line we have the winner of the 2021 Iron Butt Rally. This is getting to be a little bit of a tradition, the last three Iron Butts, to have the Iron Butt Rally winner on this show right immediately following the rally itself. So I want everyone to welcome with a great virtual round of applause, Mr. Mike Brooke, who thoroughly kicked all our butts in the Iron Butt Rally. Welcome to Long Riders Radio.
Hey guys, super pumped to be here. This is an honor to be on the show. Honestly, man, I wanted to kind of wait till you started this thing, but I've been listening to this show since, I started doing the rallying stuff, and this has just been such a valuable tool to listen to everybody's experiences, everybody's mishaps, what people have done well, what they wish they would have done differently. It was a big part of just preparing for the rally, honestly, was going back and re-listening to so many people's stories. And it's been a weird experience of going through and where not knowing a lot of the riders and then knowing more and more of the names and then getting to know a lot of these people personally. And then, now being interviewed for winning the rally, it's just,
awesome, man.
But yeah, thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Why don't you start off? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Because I'm guessing there's a lot of people out there that don't know you.
All right. So, I still consider myself newer to the rallying scene. I've probably done half a dozen or so competitive rallies, shorter rallies, started with a Cal 24 out on the West Coast, which was my father-in-law's rally. I rode that right after he passed away, and I swore after I got off the motorcycle the first time, riding 24 hours straight, that I was never going to do that again. I thought that was the craziest, most ridiculous thing I've ever done. I'm never doing that again. And then, well, here we are. So
here we are. Well, why don't you make a quick shout out of who your father-in-law was?
So Tom Melchild was highly regarded in the community of long distance riding. If you've ever met him, you know his laugh, you know his presence. He's just a one of a kind individual, and I wish he was around so you could interview him. You'd have to probably do about a 5-part series, and half of them would be jokes and inappropriate stories and things. And anyone who's listening who knows Tom is totally busting up laughing because they know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I guess so. My first question about the Iron Butt Rally: how's it feel now that you won it?
Oh man, it's honestly, I'm still kind of in this like haze. It's kind of surreal, you know. I've been in this mental state preparing for it for so long, and then after doing it and going out and doing what I wanted to do and winning the thing, man, yeah, it's a heck of a feeling, and I'm still recuperating for sure. I'm still catching up on sleep. I'm pretty well caught up on sleep, but my body is very unhappy with what I put it through for 12 days. I actually lost 15 pounds.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I think the most unique thing about your ride is the motorcycle you chose to do it on.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you were on a 2008 Suzuki Hayabusa, which if I was listing out motorcycles that I would want to run the Iron Butt Rally on, that would be somewhere between a Ural and a KLR 650, I think. Why a Hayabusa?
Okay, so this is the second one I've had. When I was younger, I had a Hayabusa. I had a 2000. I was always into the drag racing and the horsepower and the custom type stuff. I was a mechanic since I was old enough to turn a wrench, and wrenched on cars professionally all the way up until I started getting into the airline career. And the Hayabusa for me was just a cool bike that I wanted to kind of put my touch on when I first started getting into the rally stuff. I did not pick it because I thought it was going to be some ideal platform. In fact, I think a lot of people look at it and kind of look at it as almost as like a hopeless class kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that being said, after all of the years of making this bike rally appropriate, other than the ergonomics, it is probably the most capable bike in the field as far as just efficiency and capability.
Yeah.
It is an amazing motorcycle. Yeah. It's just not the most comfortable to be on.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I should have probably prefaced that with you're riding what started out life as a 2008 Suzuki Hayabusa and significantly modified from there.
I am pretty confident that it's about the only one on the planet that is set up the way it is.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that because I kind of mentioned in our pre-show discussion that I got lots of questions of stuff to ask you, and a lot of them were surrounding the motorcycle. So the first one is, so there was actually on the LD Rider list, there was a thread going, or actually it was on, I think on the IB Done list, about your gas mileage, and that you average about 44 or 45 miles to the gallon.
Or better. Yeah.
Or better. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, just looking at that bike, I mean, everything is kind of within the slipstream of the bike. There's nothing hanging out. Obviously, I'm guessing that was completely intentional.
Absolutely. And everything I've done with that bike has been for efficiency, not just with mileage, but that's been a big part of it, but just efficiency with the operation of, stopping at bonuses, navigating, how to get stuff on and off the bike, where it's stored, and what I bring, how much I bring. It's almost like an ultralight backpacker, if you don't need it, you don't bring it. And that's kind of the attitude I've taken with it. If I don't need it, I don't bring it. I remember riding out to a rally early on, one of the first HW3s I rode, and riding out with a bunch of guys. Jerry White was one of them, and at the time I didn't have a chain oiler, and I was stopped to lube my chain, and Jerry opens up his side case, and he's got like 4 cans of chain lube and all kinds of tools, and I'm going, holy cow, I brought this little tiny bottle of chain lube to get me through this rally. This guy's set for a year, but so everything with the bike has been set up for efficiency. It's been re-geared. It's been so I've gone down on the rear sprocket. The ECU's been remapped, been dyno tuned for efficiency, really. I've got a chain oiler that makes it completely maintenance-free chain operation, usually. Maybe we'll get to that, but Leg 3 was a different story. And then, you saw the lights and everything. The lights are all integrated into the bike, so there's just nothing really hanging off the bike that hinders the airflow from stock. And it's a very aerodynamic bike, and I carry exactly 11.5 gallons of fuel. And between all those efficiencies kind of put together, I can get well into the 50s sometimes on the miles per gallon, and then up at the higher speeds where most bikes really fall off. It's still solid in the mid 40s. You've got to be going pretty fast to get it down any lower than that. There was one tank of gas I stopped for during the rally where I got 547 miles out of a fuel load. So, so I don't think anyone's going to be running out to buy a Hayabusa for rally riding, but it does pretty well.
Well, you kind of glossed over what I think is one of the cooler parts of your bike. It was something, when I saw you at the North by Northwest rally, it was something I keyed in on right away, is that your headlights are actually Clearwater lights integrated into the stock locations. And I thought that was the coolest looking thing. And it looks so nice.
It came out really well. It was a good couple-week project. It had been in the back of my mind for a while that I would wanted to do that. I already had a modified headlight that was pretty good. I made a few modifications to it, but it was just one of those things where I wanted to take this thing from zero and stuff that Sabina and that Erica in there, and I didn't know if I could do it. And then I got my hands on a pair, or an Erica and a Sabina, and just started going to town. And it took a lot of fabrication to build the bracketry behind the seams that you couldn't see, and then all the plastic work that it took to make it look finished and not hokey.
It looks absolutely stock. I mean, if you could not tell if you didn't realize that those were clear.
It came out really well, and the thing is, it still actually has a little bit of adjustment in it. The only thing that's not adjustable is the Erica and the Savina independently. They are if you got in there and adjusted them on the steel bracket in the rear, but the factory adjuster will actually tilt it up and down, and it throws a lot of light down the road, and it is just a fantastic setup. Clearwater does an amazing job. I've gone down there and talked to them in person a few times, and Glenn, I think it is, I believe, he was pretty blown away with the setup too.
So the next part I want to talk about, staying on the theme of the bike here for a second, is your GPS setup. Because I mean, if you walk down the start and look at what everyone's running. People are running 3-4 GPSs. They've got freaking laptops up there. You obviously don't have that much room. So what did you run?
Yeah, I'm very limited on real estate. So, but I have just as much or more stuff than everyone else has got. I've got a Garmin XT that I picked up here not that long ago, and I really do like the XT. I'm not a huge fan of Garmin products or their software in general, but the XT, far as its interface and its screen, is fantastic. It's a really nice unit, way better than a lot of the other Garmin stuff. So I'm running that. I've got an old Garmin 665, which it's old and outdated. I can't even update the maps on it anymore. But for timing purposes, it is the best tool I have. If it breaks, I am going to be so SOL, because it is so tuned to my rally pace and what I do on that bike that I'll either build a route and import it into the 665, or a huge leg of a route, or just put waypoint to waypoint to waypoint in there, and its timing is exact. And I know that every gas stop I make, every time I pull off the road, every time I take a picture, I'm adding time to that 6665 that takes a long, long time to earn back, if that pops at all.
Yeah.
You don't make time on the 665. You just lose time.
Yeah.
but it's a tool that is just extremely valuable.
Yeah.
And then I run 2 cell phones.
Why 2?
One is just my primary navigation for Google, my speed, everything Bluetooth is hubbed through my first phone. So my radar detector, my remote, and my Cena all go to my phone. And then my second phone is my rally camera, and it's my rally book. So reading the rally book, routing, anything, man, it's endless, and it's right there in front of me. And both of them I've got on those new quad lock wireless charging heads. So everything's waterproof.
Oh, nice.
And I learned through Heart of Texas that I thought everything was waterproof until I rode Heart of Texas and basically rode around like a submarine for 4 days and realized that some stuff was not waterproof. So the wireless charging heads are a new feature.
I'm looking up these quad lock. I've never heard of quad locks.
Yeah, quad lock makes a really nice case. And I had the X grip. Most people use the X grip, and that worked. It worked okay. I had my phone come out one time in a couple years with the X grip, but the quad lock is a much more secure mount. And then they make a charging head, a wireless charging head. So it's a great setup for a motorcycle. It really is.
Yeah.
And with the new technology they have in the new charging head, you can have a phone where it's full brightness, it's navigating, it's running multiple apps, it's doing everything, and it'll still charge. It's not going to charge fast, but it's not going to deplete while you're using it. So
exactly, yeah.
And then the nice thing about it is you can just on and off your mount. If you're using it as your rally camera, on and off the mount, take the picture of your bonus and back on, and you're on your way. So nice. It serves a lot of uses.
Yeah. So one of the things with obviously riding a sport bike is your riding position is very much forward.
Yeah.
How do you deal with being in that position for so long during a ride like this?
On as long as I'm on some sort of more open road, especially interstate, I'm actually pretty comfortable. I've got a very comfortable seat that's fit well for me. I've got bar risers, Healy bars, and I'm not extraordinarily tall. I don't have really long arms, so it's not horribly uncomfortable. And up at high speeds, I can move around a lot. I'm always sliding around on the motorcycle, kind of hanging my legs off, standing up, doing different things. There's a lot of Hayabusa yoga that's going on to stay comfortable. But it's not bad at all up at freeway speeds and straight roads. On tighter, twistier, more technical roads, especially if it's drawn out for hours and hours and hours, it gets very tedious and very tiring.
Yeah.
Because you have to be down more on the bars, and you have to be using a little bit of core strength to be light on the bars. And I realized that on day 11. When I was out in California, riding roads that I'm very familiar with, but definitely the most technical riding of the rally, where my body was just so tired, so fatigued, that I found myself going wide on so many corners because I was just, elbows locked, just holding my dead weight over the bars, and it was just not the way to ride a twisty road.
How'd you do mental acuity as the rally went on? Because that's always the thing I find kind of starts to go as you I'm riding a motorcycle, let's keep going here.
Yeah, it was definitely a challenge. I noticed I did some long stretches, and we'll probably talk about this as we get into the different legs, but I did quite a few 34 to 36 hour stretches or longer. And I did notice that on the tail ends of those, I was getting to a point where it became just tough to be on the road being the slowest car in traffic, following the grandma on the road, And when I got to that point, it's like, I know I have to get off the road. I know I have to take some rest, and I know that, even 20 minutes will freshen me up enough to get out and, be making better decisions and riding better. So yeah, it was a mental game for sure that was so hard to deal with, and I didn't quite understand how relentless that was going to be.
So one of the things that I'm guessing you have heard many, many times, and when people look at you're riding a bike that can go 300 miles an hour, and you must be riding 300 miles an hour in the rally, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say you are not riding much more than the speed limit in this rally, or you would have been asked to not participate in this rally. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I know I kind of have a X on my back being the guy on the Hayabusa. It's just kind of par for the course. I mean, law enforcement wants to pull me over if I'm doing 54 and a 55 just because it looks fast. And in the rallies that I've ridden in the past, a lot of the rallies I've ridden the highest mileage, and I've been trying to be as competitive as possible. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to be the most efficient I can be on the motorcycle. That's pretty much it. I'm just riding more and stopping less, and making my bonus stops as short as humanly possible, and then riding within the rules of the rally. There were some very strict rules on the Iron Butt Rally about speed, and they were very adamant about them. And I know a few riders got warned. I wasn't one of them. I never had anyone say anything to me, and I was very cautious about making sure I stayed within the rules that they gave, which was actually pretty tough to do because I don't have electronic cruise control. I just have a throttle lock. And a throttle lock is not the most ideal method of exact speed control. In fact, there was a couple times going out to the Idaho bonus, the EBR reactor out there, where the road is just laser flat. And I had about a 40 knot tailwind right on my back, and I kept rolling up, and then I'm like, holy cow, I'm gonna get in trouble here. I need to slow just, it was so smooth. And that bike, don't get me wrong, it purrs along pretty good. Yeah. And but yeah, so the big thing is for me, and for every rider really, is just keep the wheels turning, and I have done everything I can possibly do to try to shorten up my stops. Early on, when I first rode, or maybe the second time I rode the How the West Was Won rally that Justin Phillipson puts on, by this time I thought, okay, I got my stuff together here. I got this really good route, this really ambitious route I'm going to ride. And Eric Lips and I were apparently riding a very similar route. And every time we'd pull into a bonus, I'd pull in and he'd pull in behind me. And then, maybe 10 or 15 seconds before I was ready to leave, he would be gone. We'd get to the next bonus. I'd pull in 10 or 15 seconds before I'm ready to leave. He'd pull out. And I thought I had my process down. And I'm thinking to myself, what is this guy doing? And I talked to him after the rally. He had his tricks that he uses to shorten his stops. And I tried to take those little tips and tricks that everybody has, learned, and trim down everything from, stopping for fuel to stopping at rally bonuses. When I stop for fuel, what I do is I actually open up my aux tank valve and turn on my transfer pump. And what I'll do is I fill up my main tank until I, can't fill it up anymore. There's still probably room for half a gallon or more of expansion in there. And what I'll do is I close that lid and I fill up my rear tank. While I'm filling up that rear tank, it's adding a little bit more fuel in that main tank. Yeah. And maybe 30 seconds worth of fuel pumping in there. It's not a whole lot, but it's everything I can to get as much fuel on board, and then to make the most use of it as possible. So then when I'm out riding, I stretch out every gas stop I can pretty much to the max without running out of gas. And that, knock on wood, I have yet to run out of gas on the bike, even though I've stretched it out really, really far.
Yeah. How do you how do you deal with the chain? Because that's always the thing. Whenever I see a bike with a chain on a long rally like this, it just gets me like, gosh. I mean, my first motorcycle was a KLR 650, and dealing with that chain all the time, I can't imagine trying to do it on a rally like this. You want to talk about that for a sec?
Yeah. So on the first few rallies I did with that motorcycle, I'd put on a new chain, and I'd make sure it was, immaculately cleaned and lubricated before the start of the rally. And usually by the end of the rally, the chain was toast. Yeah. And that was it. But that's just not sustainable for 11 days, Yeah. Dale Wilson, who was another Hayabusa guy, and just a huge help in so many ways going into this Iron Butt rally. He turned me on to an oiler out of the Netherlands, I believe. It's called Pro Oiler. And they've got two setups. One uses a speed sensor input. One uses actually a GPS pickup. So it gets speed either through the GPS or speed sensor. And then it's got an interface where you can calibrate it and then change the amount of oiling. And it has a very nice piece that oils both sides of the sprocket. And a small 150 or 125 milliliter oil container, and it's all integrated. Mine's hidden kind of in the rear tail section. Getting to it is a little bit of work, but when that thing is running and you have a new chain on there, it'll go 30,000-40,000 miles, no problem, without doing anything. You just clean the bike, and after you clean it, you might want to air off your chain and oil it. But for normal riding, it's phenomenal. I don't know how I was riding without it, to be totally honest. Actually, it's probably a good time to segue into it, but it worked phenomenal until leg 3. And I've had this oiler on there for, 60,000 miles or so, and it's been flawless. But something happened with it. It may be a loose wire, all the being jarring around. Maybe the pickup signal. I don't know what happened, but my oiler did fail on me, and the control panel for it started giving me an error message, and I knew right away that
you knew it right away. Yeah.
I knew right away that something was wrong with it. A lot of times you can cycle the key and cycle the system on and off, and it'll reset. Usually I see that error message when you leave the key on for a long time and it doesn't get a speed signal. It'll give you that error message. But no, I was getting it all the time, and I could tell real quick it wasn't putting any oil on the chain. And this was right at the beginning of leg 3, and I just said, hey, it's a new chain. It's been oiled. It's going to make it back to Provo. That's all it's got to do. It's done its job, But by day 11, it was very unhappy.
Yeah, I bet.
It was starting to really make some noise. I took a quick peek at it at one bonus stop, and you could see the links were starting to freeze up, and the chain was getting tight. That's what was happening.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want to have to stop and either adjust the chain or do anything to it. But it was getting to the point where it was drawing enough of my attention to it that it was taking my focus away from riding and making me really worry I might not make it back to Provo. So I stopped and got a quart of engine oil and started slathering the chain up on the end of day 11 just as a precaution.
Just in case,
Just to
so it's a good thing it wasn't the 12-day Iron Butt rally. And
yeah, I think it would have held out. But that oiler is well worth the money. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start into how you thoroughly kicked all our butts in this event. And when I'm not saying that just to be flip, you really did thoroughly kick everyone's butt. I mean, the way I described this to some of my family, like, okay, so the guy who won beat me. I was in 13th, which I was happy with my finish. He beat me by the combined total of my first and second legs. So that's a fair amount. So
those leg 3 bonuses were worth huge points, points. And my leg 3 was a huge monster leg. And
Oh, you had the most points. As far as I could find, you had the most points on leg 3.
Yeah, it was just a couple points shy of 100,000 points on leg 3 alone. But it was because all those points were out there in the Pacific Northwest, and I just rode a monster amount of mileage. But
so let's talk about a little bit about how this rally was set up, because it is. I'm finding that the only thing that's true about a Jeff Earls rally is that it's nothing like the previous one. So you can pretty much bet that it's going to be completely different, and I think that is definitely by design. But in this rally, so when we got handed our rally pack, there were 2 packets in it. There was one that was leg 1, and there was one that was rally wide, and it was 1 bonus in every state and the District of Columbia that were valid the entire length of the rally. Which, if for anyone who is looking at the scores from leg to leg, spoiler alert, those scores meant nothing, because you could get some of these bonuses throughout the whole rally, and it might just be that person A got them on leg 1 and person B got them on leg 3.
Right.
So it was very difficult to tell kind of where everyone was.
Yeah, it was the first rally I think I've heard of where what you do in leg 1 very much affects what you're going to do in leg 2, and especially leg 3 on this rally. And how you planned leg 1 dramatically affected what you were going to do on leg 3. And the thing is you didn't know what you were going to get on leg 3. So a big part of your route planning on leg 1 was kind of planning, guessing what you're going to see in the rest of the rally.
Yes.
And that is so new and so different that it made you always you were second guessing yourself no matter what.
Oh, all the time. And you really basically had to go, okay, what are the chances that we're going to be back through here? Yeah. I mean, that was really the question. Like, is it and if we are, is it going to be worth it for me to go here twice?
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, I made a little bit of a gamble on leg 1.
A little?
I made a gamble on leg 1 that paid off on leg 3. Yeah. And is probably the main reason why I was able to pull it off with a win. Do you want me to go into that?
Well, I was going to say, because I think two people, I was going through routes, and 2 people did what you did. You and Kirsten Tolkien Spalding. And you were the only 2 that did this, and it was so completely just opposite of what I would think prevailing wisdom would be when you saw that route. So
I really didn't get a lot of opportunity to chat with her. I really wanted to talk more with her. She just seems like a phenomenal rider with so much experience in this rally. But I would like to have known if she had the same thought process as I did. So there was the leg 1 only bonuses for people that don't know. The leg 1 only bonuses were up in the north in general. They were between Provo and Indianapolis, kind of in the northerly states. Yeah. They weren't worth a lot of points, and they were just kind of scattered throughout. And then there was this all rally thread that was a 48 state plus DC thread. Every state had its own bonus that was available throughout the whole rally. And, I thought to myself that usually at the end of the rally or leg 3 or at some point, the high point bonuses are usually in the hard to get to places, which is like Yellowstone, way out in the Pacific Northwest, out in the mountains of California where I'm at, places that are just hard to get to. And, I looked at the California bonus, which was in San Diego, and I thought to myself, if I'm on leg 3 and there's a bunch of real high point bonuses up in Northern California, this San Diego bonus is a long way away. And I was thinking to myself, if there are bonuses out in Yellowstone, there's bonuses out, hopping around ferries up in your neck of the woods. I don't know if I really want to go pick up all these state bonuses right now when I might be coming out that way on leg 3. So I put together a route that that picked up the real big high point bonuses out in Nevada. There was 2 out in Nevada. One was a state bonus. One was a leg 1 bonus that was actually worth a lot of points, and they were right next to each other. And then I shot south down to San Diego to get a high point bonus down in California, and then just worked my way east, through Arizona, New Mexico. I went through Oklahoma, and then down through Texas, and then all the Gulf states out to Florida. And I was able to put together a route that I thought was going to be able to make, good points. I don't know if it was going to be first place points, but I thought it was going to be good points. And I thought it was going to be put together kind of efficiently enough to where it would leave all of those northerly and Pacific Northwest states available later in the rally. And the other thing I was thinking is leg 2. So I think multiple people told me, anytime the rally master says something, listen.
Yeah.
And during the banquet at the start, he did make the comment that he says, you'll notice that these bonuses on leg 1 are between checkpoint 1 and checkpoint 2. And leg 2, you might see bonuses in the mid-Atlantic states in the Northeast between checkpoint 2 and checkpoint 3. And on leg 3, you might see bonuses out west. So that stuck in my head. And I just kind of rolled the dice with it. And, when I was watching, I'd check in on the spot trackers too every once in a while. And when I saw them, I'm down in Phoenix and everybody else is up in like North Dakota on a giant train sucking up all those bonuses up there. I was going, I don't know if I made the right decision or not. I either saw something no one else did, or I'm just the oddball out here.
Well, but you were in what, second, if memory serves?
Yeah, I was in second place, and not by not by a lot. I think it was just a couple hundred points. Jim Owen, I honestly, it was probably the perfect setting of the stage for me mentally, because I'd planned a couple routes that went up north, and I just couldn't really put anything together that made a lot of points. And then I was sucking up all those states I didn't want to get yet. So, when I got into checkpoint 1, and then we got scored, and then they gave us the stats in the morning, and I realized Jim Owen is doing what Jim Owen does, which is just, makes points out of, nothing. Yeah. I was like, okay, all right, I got to do what I'm supposed to do here to.
So how did when I look at that bonus pack, like for me, the way I set things up, like, okay, I can see this route, and I will basically plan out, especially for the first leg, I planned out the entire thing. I didn't plan out where I was stopping necessarily, but I planned out the entire thing. Like, okay, I'm going to probably need to sleep somewhere in here, and then I know people like Jim will just like, okay, here's the I'm generally going here. Here's the big point bonuses, and I plan it on the road. How do you do it?
It depends. Depends on the leg. For leg 1, I had it planned out pretty much to a T before I'd left. I say that I planned a couple routes that I wasn't really very happy with early on. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny, actually. The first route I planned, I sat back and said, all right, that's it. I'm going to go to sleep and get 10 hours of sleep before the rally starts, And then I started really thinking about it and going, no, this isn't right. I need to make some tweaks here. And honestly, it wasn't until I went to bed and woke up at probably about 1 a.m. before the rally started did I go back and do some changes and really get to the point where I was finished with what I was going to attempt to ride. And I actually rode pretty much what I had routed. I cut out Arkansas. I was planning on going to Arkansas, but it was just too much of a time suck. And at the end of the day, I'm glad I did, because I got stuck in a lot of traffic getting up to Indianapolis, and I got in at 7:58, so I had no time to spare. Yeah, but leg 1 was. Oh, go ahead. Leg 1 was it was a good eye opener to just the Iron Boat Rally. I started the rally at 39. I don't know if I'm the youngest rider in the group or not, but I'm probably pretty close. But I turned 40 on day 2, and I was was kind of joking with some friends and my wife. I brought in my 40th birthday by sleeping in the dirt behind the WD-40 corporate headquarters, waiting for daylight to take a picture.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's makes for good stories.
Yeah. Well, so we all get to Indianapolis and it's pouring down rain.
Yeah.
It was, not only you had traffic coming in from the south, I had traffic coming in from the north. I had planned to be in Indianapolis, Carmel. I had planned to be there at 6:30, and I didn't get in until 6, excuse me, and I didn't get in until 7:40, and that is all due to Chicago traffic and the giant thunderstorm that went through. But you get there, and how are you feeling at that point?
But when I got there, I felt good. I was a little concerned about time for sure. Coming up, I came up from the south, and coming up from the south, I was watching that weather, and I was just thinking in my head, like, wow, that's just perfect timing. It's on a collision course for checkpoint 1 right at the time that everyone's supposed to be there. But I had made the choice coming up to Indianapolis to stray off, and I picked up the Kentucky bonus, and it was I'm sorry, not Kentucky, it was the Kansas bonus, the first oil bonus, and it was a time suck that I was not really prepared for. So it put me way behind, and it was tough to kind of dig myself out of that hole coming into the checkpoint. But I timed getting into the checkpoint right as that storm was hitting, and just in time to soak everything on the motorcycle, just in time to get off and go get scored and take everything in your room and go to sleep. But
like my hair dryer got a workout that night.
I'm pulling my bag off and I'm sticking my laptop and all my stuff in there, and it's just filling up with water as I'm doing it. But, I went and got scored, and I didn't leave anything on the table. I did. Rode pretty much what I'd planned to do, and had 2 minutes to spare. I rode a 37.5-hour leg and a 34.5-hour leg on a nap. Jeez. And spared 2 minutes and really had no hang-ups. So that was it. I knew that was all I could do, so I felt good about it. I felt really good about it. Yep.
There's two things I was thinking of as you were talking there, and one is I don't think people who haven't done this event recognize the extent of how little information you have on how well you're doing during the event, especially the first leg, because you could be in first place, you could be in 75th place, and you have no idea. And I don't know about you, but I'm assuming that I'm in 75th and that everyone else is.
And you get in your head, especially when you're looking at the map and you're kind of you're not with the pack, at least, You're kind of going, well, man, what are they doing that I'm not doing? But it is really tough because you don't know where you are at all. There's no live stats for you to understand how you're doing or what you're doing. And you make mistakes. You make mistakes, and you get on roads where you go, man, did I make the right choice doing this? Jeff made the comment in the writers' meeting, and this goes back to the speed thing and talking about us out there riding safe and representing the Iron Boat Association, and how reckless driving is not going to be allowed. But he made a comment about a road, and he said there's a bonus location out there where there's 50 miles of the most pristine, laser flat, freshly paved road you've ever seen, and the speed limit is 45 miles per hour. We will be watching. I found that bonus. That was the New Mexico bonus, the United States spaceport. It was the coolest bonus. But yeah, it was brand new road out to the middle of nowhere that is just pristine, beautiful. But every 100 feet, there's a 45 mile an hour speed limit on it.
Jesus. So the other thing is probably worth mentioning is this, at least to me, it was very clear that this rally was designed to be run during COVID. And because pretty much everything was outdoors, and it was some kind of a plaque or something. There were very, very few things that you had to actually go inside to do. So in my mind, that made it a little bit easier, because it was stuff you could just ride the bike up to, take a picture, and go, versus the 2019 Iron Butt, where it was get to this location, now walk 5 miles and take a picture. So
and in the preparation for this, I had dissected a lot of the previous rally packets, especially 17 and 19 being Jeff Earl's rallies, and gone through and broke down all of the top riders' routes, and built routes for months ahead of time. And there were so many bonuses where I looked at them and went, "Whoa, man! If I was going here on the rally, especially in 19, where the locations didn't match where the bonus itself was, I was looking at the Beartooth Pass bonus, and the Beartooth Pass Latin Long location is about 70 miles north of Beartooth Pass. And if you came into Yellowstone from the west and got Old Faithful and navigated directly to that bonus, it would take you completely out of the park to get to it. And in hindsight, you'd be much shorter and quicker to go through the park to get to it. And had you not noticed that, you had been not happy. And I was looking for those little things in this rally packet the entire time. It was on the back of my head. I'm going, oh man, this can't be that easy, can it? I don't just pull up and there's the sign and take the picture.
Yeah.
But there was one. There was one. The Rollison test site.
Oh yeah. I did not. I was not taking my Goldwing up there. I took one look at that. Nope.
I took my Hayabusa up there.
Yeah.
It was a 2-hour ordeal that I was not prepared for.
Yeah. I would have been hitting that right at the end of the rally, and I was like, that is a no-go for me. That's just too much of a risk for the rally I was running. But in 19, there was nothing funnier than hearing the people like, I didn't read the rally book, and like I ended up like I had two waypoints for every single one. The name of the bonus and the name of the bonus reel. And
sometimes
depending on which one it was,
drastically different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, in some of them you couldn't put the real one in, because that was the walk 25 miles to this thing or something.
Right.
But, I was thanking my lucky stars on this one that it was not quite like that. That was fun last time because it got you off the bike a little bit, but it also
added another layer of complexity. I think that probably a lot of the real competitive riders probably tried to take advantage of. But I could see how that would be a big time suck for so many different bonuses that if you had a tight timeline, your whole plan is underwater.
Exactly. All right, so we're now to Carmel, Indiana.
Yep.
It is 4 a.m, and we are hanging out with our 75 closest friends in the ballroom or whatever it was, and we get handed the packet, and everyone rushes back up to their room. How long did you stay planning in your room before you took off?
About 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if that.
So you did the bare minimum. And
so because I was taking what Jeff said to heart about expecting bonuses in the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic area, I on that long slog out through Oklahoma and Texas, a few days before, I had actually already pre-built a route for leg 2 from Indianapolis to Huntsville, basically just building the most efficient route I could, just picking up the state bonuses. So running up all the way through Maine, and then down the Atlantic, and then down to the flight bonus, which was in North Carolina, and then over to Huntsville. So I already had that base route kind of built, and it was around 3,000-ish miles. And I thought, if there's a bunch of bonuses up this way, I can figure out what I want to add and what I want to subtract easier than just starting from scratch. And when we got the bonuses, put them in my spreadsheet, did a little bit of work there real quick with just some of the availability, and then dropped it in and started looking at it. And I overlaid the two, and they were it was almost like a mirror image. It was almost a mirror image of the route I had built and the new bonuses. So I saw really quick early on that there was a time-limited bonus. It was the Curtis bonus. It was inside a museum, and you had to be there by 5 p.m. And that was already going to be pretty tight. I mean, you had time to get there. If you went direct, you probably had, an extra 2 hours or so. But I knew right then and there that was my opportunity to get out of it quick and go pick up a few extra bonuses that getting out early is going to allow me to get that other people aren't going to get. So I saw that, and I did nothing else but just throw it all on my GPS and run. And I was the first one out. I walked out to the bike, and there was no one out there, and I thought something was off, and I left. And it wasn't until later when I got back and I was talking with Toby Stevens, and he's like, "You beat me out to the parking lot." He said, "I came out here to take pictures of people leaving, and you were gone already." It is pretty funny because I've gone back now and watched the Lake 2 spot animation, and you'll see the first dot just blast east out to go get I did Ohio. Because I left so early, I got Ohio, Pennsylvania. There was one in Pittsburgh, Phil. And then I made, because I had that run on everybody, I was able to get all that, turn back, go up north to Cleveland and get the Superman bonus, which was a big high point bonus. Most people seem to take a more of a direct approach to Superman and then over to Curtis, where I was able to get a leg up and pick up these other high point state bonuses. And I was feeling really pumped about that. By the time I made it to Superman and I realized I was going to make Curtis by about 10 minutes, I was like, this might be the edge I need to just get an extra, 1,000 points or so. So I was feeling on top of the world by then. Yeah, I was feeling pretty good.
So the one you missed, because it was very time limited, was the photo bonus, which was very near Curtis, and it was at the Erie Canal, and it was quite a bit of points for a photo bonus. I mean, it was like $4,000. And did you miss it, or did you intentionally miss it? Or cut it, I should say.
How about we'll say both. So when at first I had input those availabilities in my spreadsheet, and as any rally rider will know, that if you input something on one line away from where it's supposed to be, it is a critical error. And I put that availability for that photo bonus one line down under the wrong bonus. And I thought I could get that bonus just by going there. And it wasn't until I was not on my way there, but heading that direction, and I was looking ahead, did I realize that what it said in the rally book and what I had in my, what I was looking at on my screen there was not right. So I realized that was a time-limited bonus. I had to be there the next day. So it actually became part of my plan, and I did add that into my route. I planned on running all the way around up through the Northeast and back down through Long Island and Manhattan, and then going up to that what was the name of that bonus? It was
Dixville Notch.
No, a Dixville Notch. That was the most northerly bonus there. I picked that up. Canal was the
Canal.
Bonus.
Sorry, yeah.
So my plan was to run back down through New York after I ran all night up to the Dixville Notch, come down, Rhode Island, Delaware, Massachusetts, pick up all those, and then Long Island, Manhattan, and then get up to that photo bonus. And that was my plan well into the evening. And I rode. And there was not really any making up time. The going through New York, that was all new to me. I'd never ridden out there. And there was you were going with the flow of traffic, and that was it. There's no passing cars. There's no, picking up the speed a little bit. It is what it is. Yeah. So I rode that route. I got up there to Dixville Notch. It got cold. That was the first time I put on my heated gear. Came around the corner, and there was a moose standing in the road, and he seemed to not care that I was on a motorcycle one bit. He just looked at me, and he finally moseyed on out of the road. But making my way down towards New York, I actually trimmed a couple bonuses out because I knew Long Island and Manhattan were going to be a time suck, and I knew that I wanted to get to that Canal bonus. It was just worth so many points, and honestly, I didn't make it. I got down to Long Island, stuck in traffic, which I knew I was going to, and I had about an hour of slop, maybe about 45 minutes of slop, and got into New York City, and there was an accident in the tunnel, tunnel leaving the island there, going out to New Jersey, and I sat there for probably an hour going a mile. And it was the worst feeling. I got out of there, and keep in mind, I'd been awake for a long time at this point, and stuck in that tunnel, probably about 130 degrees in there. And I come out the other side, and I'm just stuck in stop and go traffic. And now I'm, it was probably 2.5 hours up to that bonus, and I was a half hour behind on schedule, and there was no way I was making that up. So I had to cut it. I had to make the decision real quick to kind of go into damage control and pick up a couple extra local things there, and continue on. In hindsight, it wasn't as huge of a mistake as I thought it was at the time. Being tired and fatigued, I kind of thought that might have been the rally right there.
Oh wow!
It was a 4,200 point bonus. Yeah. That's
it was
huge.
Not small.
4,200 points is a lot of points to just miss on timing. And then after cutting out 1,000-point bonuses ahead of time to give myself the time to get to it, and then not making it, it was a rough feeling. I felt pretty bad 24 hours after I started the leg 2, feeling so good. I was pretty down right at that point and tired.
Yeah, it's roughly. It's not for you. It was a little bit less. For me, a little bit more. About 10% of your leg 2 total. That bonus was.
And
it
you
was
can see
a lot of points.
Yeah, and you can see from the photo, there's a lot of people in it.
Yep.
Because it's worth that many points, and man, I was pretty bummed that I couldn't get it. So yeah, I came out of there, and then I picked up a couple local bonuses trying to do damage control, and I knew I had to get some sleep, start my rest, and kind of reevaluate things. So it was tough because I actually went in, I got a receipt at a gas station right next to a hotel. The hotel was out of rooms. The hotel next door was out of rooms. Started making calls. Everyone sold out. And it long story short, my rest bonus that my rest receipt that I started with, I got a new rest receipt to start my actual rest bonus like 3 hours later, and a couple 100 miles later, because there was not a hotel to be had anywhere, and I needed to get off the bike, but there was no place to stop, and I didn't know what to do, so I just kept plugging along to the next bonus, and finally was able to get myself in a bed and start my rest.
That's something that I've heard from a couple different riders during this rally, that I've never had this much trouble getting a hotel on a rally. And usually it's you pull into a town and you call a place, you just walk into a place and they've got a room. And it was, you'd call several places trying to find a place that had, and I had my dad helping me with that. Like, he'd call and just say, "Hey, do you have any rooms?" And nope, sorry. And it was like everyone decided, I don't know if it was that like they were capacity restricted, or that just everyone decided all at once that we're getting out of this house and going on vacation. But there were a lot of people out.
Yeah, and I think it's just right now there's a lot of travelers that are getting out and doing things, and then all the hotels and the just service industry in general is trying to play catch up with the amount of staffing and availability they have. So yeah, it is a really tough time to travel right now. Getting a hotel was not easy.
Yeah. So you mentioned that your profession, you're a pilot, and you got to go on this rally for several minutes to Kitty Hawk.
Yeah.
Was that kind of cool for you, or talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I've been down to that area before. I'd never been to the monument, which was a first for me. But yeah, it was a cool experience. Honestly, there were so many cool bonuses that I really like every rally. So many cool bonuses that I wish I could have really spent some more time at. And
Curtis Museum, probably one of them.
That was an amazing museum. I actually did take just a few extra seconds looking around, and I told the lady at the front counter, I said, "Man, this is really a place I would love to hang out." There's like cars and motorcycles and airplanes and lots of cool stuff in here, and I'm just sprinting in and out the door, But yeah.
So for those of you who have seen the poster, the plane is not the Wright Flyer. in that on the poster. That is a Curtis Model 3 or something like that, and it's in that museum. Hey there, Future Justin here. It's actually a reproduction of a Curtis D3 headless pusher. And back to the interview.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Somebody told me that the Wright Flyer did not have wheels. And if you look at the poster, that airplane clearly has wheels, and it's the Curtis D3 headless pusher reproduction or something like that.
And that was in that museum. Oh, man.
It's in that museum.
One more reason why I wish I would have stopped and looked around there.
It looks very similar to the Wright Flyer, but
it does, yeah. So
yeah.
So you brought up that flight bonus in North Carolina. That's kind of how most people, or a lot of people, finished out their leg 2, I think. That bonus in North Carolina had an availability of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And
was that a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it was timed very strange. Not very strange. It was probably timed
very purposely.
Very purposefully, yeah. To where if you were going to get back to Huntsville from North Carolina, you needed to be there at 9 a.m. or close to it.
And you had 15 minutes to spare.
Yeah, there was not a lot of slop there. And actually, I got up in the morning and I was going down to D.C. I think I picked up Delaware and D.C. And somewhere along the way, I ran into Jim Owen at a bonus. And that was another moment where I'm thinking to myself, okay, what is this guy going to do? Where's he going? And what is he trying to get that I'm not doing, you know? And so we went and we picked up 2 bonuses consecutively. And there was 2 bonuses in DC downtown that were daylight only bonuses, and it was just I mean, it was before daylight, but if you waited a bit, you might be able to get that daylight bonus, but then it was going to be a real tight stretch to get down to that North Carolina bonus. So it gave me a little bit of motivation to go backtrack a bit and go try to get those daylight only bonuses. So I did, and I think that he went to North Carolina and I backtracked to into the city, and I sat there for about 10 minutes until I got a good enough daylight picture. Went over to this other bonus. I can't remember the names of them at this point now.
I'm guessing it was Airmail and Voice.
That's exactly what they were. Airmail and Voice were the 2 that I picked up that were daylight onlys, and then I just blazed trail towards North Carolina and was able to squeak in those other 2 bonuses. But the advantage of that was I got into North Carolina maybe about 5 or 10 minutes before everyone else, and it was pretty clear where the marker was, because there was about 20 motorcyclists wearing all of their gear, sprinting 100 yards across the lawn in the most amazing sight you've ever seen. There was some spectators there watching all of us out there running along in the lawn.
Yeah. Well, so I'm not. So no one knows who the Scribe is this year, and which is probably I think kind of adds to the mystery. But whoever, I'm guessing it was someone who was near scoring on leg 2, who was listening to me lament how stupid I was that I did not go to flight because I was so gun shy about getting stuck in Chicago traffic on leg 1. Like, I don't want to deal with anything, that I got 15 minutes to spare. And because it made the write up like, Justin Long, looks like he forgot to get flight. I'm like, So, yeah.
The mystery continues.
I have a couple ideas who it might be.
But I was wondering that myself. Whoever it was, they did a phenomenal job. I actually read through most of it today for the first time, which is pretty cool. I hadn't been keeping up on any of that during the rally because I was obviously a little preoccupied. But they did a great job. But it would be interesting to know who that was.
So you getting into Huntsville, it looks like you were in penalty points. So
it was. I mean, I was trying to get everything I could, So after a flight, Go ahead.
You had a limited amount of time, so you only stopped to get 2 other things that were not on the way there.
I backtracked a bit to this Cyrus bonus that is way far to the north, and way out of the way, not the most direct path back to Huntsville. I mean, it's north of Roanoke. It's like way up in the northeast. But Actually, it was a pretty, it's a lot of interstate, high speed interstate going up that way and back. And I think that the road itself was more efficient. It added a lot more miles and a lot more time. But after doing the math, picking up that Cyrus and then the Tennessee bonus on the way back to Huntsville, it was a good 1,600 points or more, I think. And I went 30 minutes into the penalty window, so it was worth it. What was tough mentally was I knew that I was coming into the bonus and I had to do a bunch of maintenance on the bike. And I was already told myself way before the rally started that I wanted to get into checkpoint 2 early to give myself time for that. And here I come rolling in 30 minutes into the penalty window. But
you did have like
those points, those bonuses don't get themselves, man. You got to just go for it, and it's you're going to do the bike maintenance off the clock, so or somewhat off the clock, I guess you could say.
Well, you did kind of have a NASCAR pit crew that greeted you. So I pull up and there's like this trailer and like 5 guys all sitting there, and I didn't hear until later that was your guys that were helping you do the maintenance on the bike.
Yeah. So fortunately, one of my best friends from Northern California, who's an automotive mechanic, he recently moved to Nashville, and he's got a business going on the side there, doing mobile mechanic work where he travels all around and works on European cars with his tow behind rig. So we had coordinated this months ahead of time. I'd got a second set of wheels and tires mounted and balanced, and it's all set up and shipped out to him, and then oil and everything else I needed. And I actually had a fuel pump issue, and it was fortunate enough to Amazon same day a fuel pump to him to bring to the checkpoint. So we did wheels, oil, a fuel pump, topped off the chain oiler, and we got a lot done in a pretty short amount of time. But it was still it left for a short night on to start leg 3.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to read you my notes here. So my notes for leg 1, leg 2, leg 3. Leg 1, you went south. Almost everyone else went north. Leg 2, you went to the northeast like most, but you didn't get the photo bonus. Leg 3, you went insane. Because oh my God. I mean, I do not even, it's tough to comprehend how you got this many points, because I thought I had a pretty intense route and I was 20,000 points behind you. So
I knew that there was a couple things I was going to have to do if I had any chance of winning. I knew I was going to have to route better. I was going to have to be more efficient than anyone else, and I was just going to have to ride more and ride harder. And I was just trying to do all those things. I was trying to be as efficient as I could everywhere I went. And leg 3, man, it was tough. It was actually kind of interesting because I had a lot of riders tell me that rookie riders tend to come into the iron butt and ride big leg 1s and then burn out, and then they just fizzle out and don't do very well by the end. And actually reading the ride reports today, I did notice in there after leg 1, whoever was riding it said that after the first 3.5 days, the riders rode between 3 and 4,900 miles, which I was 4,900 miles. It said the upper number is a pace that cannot be maintained for 11 days. And that kind of stuck into my head, not at the time, but it was in my head that, I don't want to burn myself out, but at the same time, I know I've got to really, to push hard. So it was mental, man. It was a lot about just kind of preparing to push hard in that third leg. There's a quote that I picked up a while back. This is actually from a SWAT instructor at a weapons retention class, but he said that the body does not go where the mind has not been. And, that was more made for, being in a gunfight or something. But, it's one of those things where I had mentally prepared for pushing hard on leg 3. And it was just a mindset of, I'm going to go do that. It was tough. It was tough, but yeah, I basically started leg 3 on 3 hours of sleep and did 2 back-to-back BBGs in the first 48 hours.
God. I'll have you know, though, you did win me 50 cents.
Oh, yeah? Well, apparently I won some money for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's from the same person who was betting everyone that you were going to fizzle out, but I bet him 50 cents. And
okay.
Because I said he's going to finish and he's probably going to win it, is what I said. I should have gotten odds that you would have won it. I would have won even more or something. But yeah, so I did win 50 cents off you. So thank you I'll give you half of that if next time I see you.
Thanks.
But okay, so let's talk in detail about your third leg, because you kind of started out kind of going across the Midwest north of where you were on leg 1, because you'd already gotten everything to the south basically, and so you kind of went middle latitudes through Kansas, Missouri, that area, and then up into Colorado, and then Idaho, and then you started picking up all the stuff that everyone else got on leg 1.
Yeah.
And that Glacier, so there was a Parks combo that was huge.
Mm-hmm. It was huge.
You got.
Yeah. It was. I want to say it was like 12,000 points or something like that. 16,000 points. Yeah, and it was just basically 3 bonuses. Well, about 3.5. You had to get the east and west entrance signs to Glacier. You had to get John Muir's house, and then you had to get the entrance sign to Yosemite. I mean, those locations are not close by any means.
No.
But that was a huge thread. And for me, and kind of in hindsight, looking back, I had no other option but to go that way. That was it for me, because I knew that there was a ton of high point bonuses out there that I would have went for had there not been a 49 state thread. But because I had not picked up those big high point states out there in Oregon and Washington, that was it. I knew I had to go that way. And in fact, I kind of wish I would have got out of the gate a little quicker. I was probably an hour and a half before I was on the road.
I had to laugh as I was plodding away, because I think I left at 6:30, but someone, I don't know who it was, but someone left that parking lot like 10 minutes after they got the bonus pack and was honking their horn as they went out.
I don't know if I heard the horn honking, but I did hear a bike starting up and leaving, and me being in no place to leave yet. And I told myself actually ahead of time that, leg 2 I knew was short, and I'm glad I got out the gate quick and picked up some extra bonuses. But leg 3 is so long. Looking back at all the other riders that have won and done well on leg 3, it's because they had the right route. Not because they just rode more. It's because they had the right route. You can ride more and not get many points. You had to have the right route. So I really wanted to spend a lot of time building routes, dissecting routes, totaling that stuff out, and seeing where the points were and where the most best place to go. And then I can make up some time over, that 101 hours of available riding time, if I had to. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would say you also had I would say you didn't have good luck, but you didn't have bad luck, because you could have. This whole thing almost unraveled in Oregon.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know you're talking about my gas stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I had a few hang-ups here and there, but not a whole lot. And I know a lot of riders had flats and deer strikes and mechanicals, and, that's pretty typical. And, I was pretty fortunate. I really would have liked to have seen what Wendy would have done on leg 1 had she not had that tire issue. And it just shows how much of a badass she is. I mean, she was off the bike for a long time on leg 1 and rode 13,000 plus miles. It didn't seem like she had a great leg 2, but I mean, she ended up right there at the end of leg 3. Yeah. So, it shows how awesome competitor she is. But, I was fortunate. I was definitely fortunate that I didn't have a whole lot of issues. I did have, I don't know if I shared this with you, but I was going through the Chesapeake Expressway coming out of that flight bonus, and I pulled up to the Easy Pass gate, and the car in front of me went through, and then the gate rose, and as soon as it came up, I started going. It came down right on me, and I dumped the bike right there right there in the toll booth. I dumped the bike there, and
got it back up and got to the side of the road, and it wouldn't start. And I knew it was the fuel safety switch, the tip over switch, but it wasn't resetting. And it was getting hot by this point, and I'm mentally just like, I can't be doing this,
hot.
Yeah. And I probably spent a good 20, 30 minutes sitting around there. I actually pulled the seat off, and I was going to start digging in there to bypass that switch if I had to. But I finally got it started, got on the road, and was on my way. That was a hang up. But the thing you brought up with a fuel stop, and this was later on leg 3. I don't know if you want to get to it later, but later on leg 3, I took my rest bonus in the middle of the day just south of Seattle. I pushed really, really hard. It was like 55 hours on naps to get to the daylight bonus in Seattle and then take my rest. And it was a good thing I did because, for one, I had to get off the bike and rest, but it kind of freed me up from the traffic. Seattle traffic is not very good. And then a lot of the bonuses that were either on the coast or in the mountains of the Cascades go through a lot of little towns. So I rested from 1 to 9 p.m. and got back on the bike at 9 and rode it all through the night and all the way through until Provo, really. But got back on the bike, and it was fantastic. It was great. I ran out there and got a bonus out there in the Cascades, and then rode out to the Oregon coast, and there was not a car. There was nobody, and it was just perfect temperature. I had my heated gear on. It was cool, but it was just perfect. It's kind of nice little moment of serenity riding through the mountains out there. But I get out to the coast, and like I was saying, I stretched out all my gas stops, and this was stretching it out right to where it needed to be to get gas when I got to the coast. And I found myself in a little coastal town with no 24-hour gas. And it's
which is not unheard of in Oregon, by the way, with their stupid gas laws.
I should have known better, because I know how Oregon is with gas, and they, by law, they have someone there to pump gas, or at least man the station. And I pulled in, and there's 5 gas stations, and all the pumps were shut down. And I knew I would put myself in a real bad position at that point, because I only had probably about 10 or 15 miles of range left, and it was 50, 60 miles to anything else inland. And there was a sheriff that was cruising down the road right as I hit the 5th gas station trying to find something open, and I turned around and I basically pulled over the sheriff. I had some other riders tell me I should have asked for license and registration when I got him finally pulled over. But I come up behind him, and I kind of trail him for a little bit, and he kind of flashed me with his light. So I flashed him with my brights and turned on my hazards, and got enough of his attention to want to pull over and see what was going on with the motorcycle behind him. So I pulled up next to him and apologized profusely for flashing him with my brights, and told him what I was doing, that I was on this rally and that I was in a pinch and I was out of gas, and what was the absolute quickest method I could use to get fuel in the bike. I mean, even just a gallon, anything. Yeah. And he recommended a tow company in town that was 24 hours. And then his second recommendation was to go to the police station, and they might have some emergency fuel. So I went back into town, went to the tow company. They weren't answering their phones. No one was there. I didn't know what to do at that point. There was a local cop that at this point pulled up next to the tow company, and he had been called by the sheriff. So I go over to him, and he's like, "You must be the guy on the motorcycle in the rally with no fuel." So he gets out, looks at the bike, and asks me a few questions, and he's like, "Hey, let's call the old man that owns the Chevron and get him down here and put some gas in this motorcycle." Huh? Which, man, he was a lifesaver. So we went over to the gas station and chatted for about 10 minutes while the owner of the Chevron got out of bed at 2:33 in the morning and came down and turned the pumps on. Wow. And filled up the bike and thanked everybody profusely and was on my way. The whole ordeal was about 45 minutes, but it could have been so much worse.
Oh, if you would have lost 4 hours, I mean...
Oh, man, yeah, that would have been game over. It would have been it.
Because that would have... It wouldn't have just been... I mean, it would have been the end... I'm just looking at your scorecard. It would have been the end of a lot... The things you would have been cutting would have been the end of combo bonuses.
Everything, yeah. Well, and I kind of rode... I did ride that route
in the direction I did, because I thought I gave myself the most options that way. I did it in a counterclockwise loop up through, or out through the Midwest, and then up through Glacier, and then down the Pacific Northwest, where all of the big bonuses were in Oregon and California. And I thought that by doing it that way, if I got hung up on time, I could always just go into damage control and bail out. And it's a bunch of high-speed roads out to Provo, whether you go at 80 or at 50, whatever I need to do. If there's accidents, I got lots of places to make up time, and not necessarily make up time, but lots of different routes to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So I did end up cutting some bonuses out, but I would have had to cut out a lot of important bonuses. I don't know if I would got stuck there for 3 hours if I could have made that big combo bonus, even cutting out everything else. So
yeah,
I was fortunate.
Yeah, when you were telling me that story at the banquet, I'm like, that. I mean, you probably would have only finished third, but still, it was. I mean, that could have that was in my mind, like, well, they're right there. That was the win.
In my head, it was a make or break deal. I knew it for sure. Yeah. I was, I didn't know what I was going to do. My brain had already moved on to, like, I don't know, siphoning tanks or something.
Yeah. Well, so you arrived back. You were not in penalty for the last leg. You arrived back, and they score you up at 99,194 points. Where did you think you'd won it? Did you think you had enough?
I honestly didn't know if I'd won it, but I knew I'd done everything I could do. I was a little, I didn't feel 100% because there was a couple high point bonuses out in California that I wanted to get and couldn't. One was Loud. I think it was Loud. And then one was the big high point one was Ski, and it kind of ended a loop up through the Sierra Nevadas, and it was a daylight only bonus. And I picked up Muir, which was a time limited bonus that had you to be there at 8 p.m. And then that Ski bonus, I just got hung up on a couple different things and couldn't get to it, and wasn't sure if that was going to be something I needed and everyone else got or not. The Muir bonus, one of my other big hang-ups of the rally was, Google usually does pretty well for me, but sometimes the pins that when you select a location and the location of the actual lat-long pin for the bonus locations, or sometimes they're in a little bit different location. Mm-hmm. Well, normally it's not a real big deal, but this mirror bonus is in a river canyon, and I had ridden this goat trail probably 25 miles out this mountainside, and Google says, your destination is on the left, or you reached your destination. And I'm looking at my Garmin, and the pin got dropped on the other side of this river canyon.
Oh,
and I was about 20 miles out of the way to get around to it.
Oh, wow.
So I had to do this big end around and get back there with just minutes to spare to get that 8 p.m. cutoff. And it kind of closed the window on getting that time limited ski bonus I was hoping to get. So at that point, it was just, cut it, and I'm going back to Provo. So it was take just enough naps that I can take or need to get back, and then get back before 8. There was one bonus at Transcon that I picked up on
the way in.
On the way in, on 80.
Yeah,
but it was a tough, challenging, brutal leg 3.
Yeah, I mean, granted, this is your. So if we didn't mention this before, this is your rookie rally. You are the first rookie, I think, to ever. Well, actually, Jeff said you were the first rookie to win the Iron Butt Rally, but somebody else pointed out that somebody else was.
Multiple. Yeah, there's been multiple rookie winners of the Iron Butt. Yep.
Yeah. So, but gosh, what a run! I mean, what I was going to say there though is, I mean, granted, I've had different strategies for each of the 3 Iron Butt rallies I've run, but man, this one was the toughest. I thought, in terms of making you. I mean, the 2017, it was the strings, and you were doing 4 bonuses at a time, and you had to plan everything ahead of time. There was no way
you had to stick to it. On the fly. Right.
Yep. Yeah. And 2019, as on leg 3 at least, there was, I mean, just defined, like, here's your route. it's just go this, and you're going to have this giant combo that's going to be all your points, and it's what you can add to that. And I think the description that Jeff gave was perfect, where he's like, he basically dumped a bunch of Legos on the floor with the expectation we were going to make a spaceship, and then sat back and enjoyed as people made an ostrich out of it. And when I was talking to him after the event, he's like, I knew I had done well when the spot track out of Huntsville just looked like like that, and just everyone going in different directions. So it was not easy to find a good route, that's for sure.
And honestly, I had kind of creeping around in the back of my head that because I had taken all of those southern states off the table, I didn't have the south route as an option. And there was a lot of points down there. There was a lot of combos. There was a lot of big point bonuses down there. And I knew a lot of those top riders that all went north we're going to be going down that way. And I didn't spend any time calculating routes really down there. So I didn't know what kind of points were available. And I had no idea I'd won. I knew I'd done well, and I knew I'd ridden the best route I could ride and the best ride I could ride. But I just didn't know if it was going to be enough, especially with a lot of these riders that you have that are just, just amazing,
Yeah. All right. The number one big question, will you be back for 2023?
I don't know.
Really?
I'll be honest right now. I'm going to take a bit of a break from the rally stuff. I've been kind of pushing pretty hard with it for the past few years, and doing a lot of rallies, and pushing hard in the rallies. And I have to figure out a way to kind of maybe dial it back a little bit to just keep on doing it. I've got 2 young kids at home, and a wife who is so much more supportive than any wife should be for rally riding, with her dad being involved in this, and this being a real connection for her to the rallying community and to a lot of his friends. She has been so much more supportive than most anyone can even imagine, which has been awesome. It's been awesome. But I want to take a little bit of a break for a while. I'm not saying I'm not going to do it. But
so what you're saying is that some other people might have a chance in some rallies coming up.
Yeah. I'm not. I can for 100% sure I'm not riding any more this year. And I've told everyone who's asked me about upcoming rallies that I'm not doing them, or I'm taking a break. And we'll just see how that goes. I'd
say you earned it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, I did what I wanted to do. I came and I rode the efficient route, or the efficient riding style that I was hoping to do. I wanted to make very few mistakes. I'd made a lot of mistakes in previous rallies. I don't know if you heard about those, but Heart of Texas, I rode a really good route, really good rally, and I got to scoring and found out that this whole big giant thread that I'd been working for 4 days for, in reordering some bonuses in this one little area, I had just ridden right by one of these bonuses that I thought I had already got. And that was a critical error. And that, the year before at the senior butt rally, Dave Biasotti and I, we rode a really great route, and we got to scoring and found out that we forgot to put our odometer readings on our rest receipts, which was like the entire rally's worth of points. So that was pretty critical. So I knew I had to come and be efficient and ride hard and route well and not make mistakes, and I felt like I did that. So.
Yeah. Well, this may be the longest episode of Long Riders Radio ever, but I think it's been well worth it. Are you game for the LD dozen?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So first question, what was your first motorcycle and why?
So my first motorcycle was a Honda CBR F4, carbureted F4 sport bike. I was probably 20 years old when I bought that bike, and had some friends with motorcycles, and it was a cool bike at the time, and got me out riding, and kind of into the game.
Yeah. All right. Where did you take your first overnight ride?
I've heard you ask this question to everyone that's been on your podcast, and I've thought about it. I honestly don't know where my first
overnight ride was. I would have to say probably riding like all through the night, overnight, somewhere would be probably my first rally on the Cal 24. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I motorcycle lights suck, and riding at night is not really enjoyable unless you're a long distance rider. Early on my early days of riding, I had no desire to go ride through the night on a motorcycle. Not many do.
No, yeah, at least not anyone who's sane.
Right. Yeah.
All right, question number 3. What is your day job, and explain in context of your day job where you are at right now?
So I'm a pilot for Southwest Airlines, and I'm sitting outside of my room here at the Andes Resort in Maui. Just came over this morning from Sacramento.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the best job in the world.
So I should probably start asking: Are you captain or first officer?
I'm first officer. Yeah, I've been here about 7 years. I'm pretty close to getting over to the left seat, but COVID kind of slowed that down. But to be totally honest, I'm more than content right now where I'm at. I've done the captain thing quite a bit. I was Continental Express for 9 years before coming here, and spent a lot of time in the left seat, commuting across the country doing it. But right now I drive to work. I drive down to Oakland, and I fly to Hawaii. The common question as an airline pilot is always, what's your route? And it's kind of a comical question because we don't really have a route per se. But for the first time ever in my airline career, I kind of do have a route, and I fly the Hawaii route, and it's kind of cool.
That's a rough one to have.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to work for a living, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, wow. All right, question number 4. What is your favorite non-motorcycling hobby? When I asked this question to Mike Best, he said flying, and I was like, well, that's your job. It can't be your hobby too, but it is. So
I like planes and I like flying, but I get enough of it at work to where I like to do other things with my days off. And like I was saying, I'm married and I've got 2 boys at home, and they're just involved in everything sports. And I really like to get back into backpacking and outdoor stuff and fishing and some of that kind of stuff. I live in such a beautiful part of the country where there's so many outdoorsy things to do, that's kind of my hobby that's been on the list of things to do. And then, like I said, I've always been involved in cars, so I kind of want to get back into the custom car stuff and the hot rod type of stuff, and start wrenching on something else.
So something that's more expensive than motorcycling.
Yeah, the motorcycling has been a fantastic it's definitely sucked up a lot of money. I was going to say it's cheaper than a car, but it is cheaper than a car. But you can find a way to make it expensive pretty quick. Takes up a little less room, maybe slightly less expensive. But it's a hobby like anything else, man. It's an endless pit.
Yeah, it is absolutely true when they say 11 days, 11,000 miles, $11,000. It's
I've had a lot of people ask me how much it costs, and I don't even really want to add it up. But I mean, when you start getting into the gear and the electronics and everything you do to your motorcycle, on top of just the cost of the rally is the smallest portion of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Although that being said, I did stop in Bridgeport, California at one point on the rally, and it was $5.99 a gallon for gas, and I put nearly $70 in my motorcycle.
Wow. It's like avgas prices there.
Yeah, so I don't know. My gas bill on the rally was probably a lot higher than I think it is.
Well,
my
you do
credit card statement here soon.
Yeah, you do almost 14,000 miles. You'll get that. Yeah. All right, question number 5. What is your favorite road? So,
my favorite roads are all out right next to my house in California. This rally stuff has taken me to some amazing roads, and I would say my favorite road, just for a pure motorcycling experience of having a good, nice, twisty, just sporty road that's well paved and not a lot of traffic and in a beautiful setting, is Highway 3 from about 5 miles south of 299 to about 15 miles south of 299. It's a stretch of 3 that goes between 299 and 36. It's just phenomenal road. I do this out and back from my house quite a bit, and I did it a ton preparing for the rally, just to go get some miles in. But yeah, 299, Highway 3, and Highway 36 is a loop that I do from my house. That's it's all great roads. And then if I had to throw one more in there, I think it's 20 from Willits or from Fort Bragg to Willits is another just phenomenal road.
I have to look that one up. I haven't heard that one yet.
Oh yeah, if you've never been on it, you have to try it out sometime if you're out there.
Yeah. All right, flip side, least favorite road. What interstate is it?
Honestly, I don't mind the interstate so much. Just like we were talking about earlier, that's the one time I can get out and stretch a little bit.
No, that's true. Yeah.
There was a road or a highway, I guess you could call it, on the heart of Texas, out in West Texas, through a little town called Orla. And it was, I can't give you the name of the road, but it was out through the oil fields out there, and there's a makeshift city out there. And this road was the most miserable, horrible road I've ever been on in my life. For one, every other 5 miles, one lane was closed off, and they would do lane control back and forth, so that was horrible for rally timing. But it was just potholed and destroyed and huge. I don't know, they weren't frost heaves, but almost like frost heaves where real sharp, speed bump like bumps in the road. And I feel like I about broke everything on the motorcycle. And it smells like oil, and it's West Texas, and it was miserable road.
Did you go up to Fort Wayne to that cemetery up there?
I did not know.
Oh God, it just smelled like diesel the entire way. I mean, it was pouring down rain. Like, how could it be pouring down rain and smell this bad? But that was very. I'm sure, same idea. It was just like, get me out of this.
When it gets all the senses, man, it's it makes for a memorable experience.
Yeah. All right, question number 7. What do you use to plan your rally? You on Basecamp?
No.
I
don't use Basecamp at all.
So what do you use?
I use Google. I use My Maps. I use I use Excel. I should probably back up. I use Excel. I do a lot in Excel. I actually took a course online to try to do some stuff in Excel I was hoping that it could do. So I do a lot in Excel, and then I do everything else in My Maps with Google, and then that carries over to my phones and then to my GPSs. So it goes from there to my Garmin's. Nothing goes through Basecamp. Yeah.
So how do you get it to your Garmin without going through Basecamp?
You can just convert the file in My Maps to KML, and then KML to GPX with a converter. And then you can either build your legs and convert those legs in your Garmin, or on all the waypoints, just go over that way too.
Okay. So your Garmin must have the ability to get stuff into it a little more easier than mine does without going through Basecamp. I mean, it can be done, but it's not.
Well, and so that is one of the reasons why. All of my friends that use Basecamp, they spend more time cussing at it than anything else, or talking about how it's crashing. It's crashing and it doesn't work and it's not doing what it needs to do. And it just seems, I know it does some good things. I know it's not very intuitive, and I'm sure that if I really spent the time to learn it, that it would have some advantages. But as of right now, there's been no real tangible advantage to going to Basecamp for me. I can do everything I need with Google and with timing through my GPS and just some math and stuff. There are a few things that I wish Google could do. I wish that they limit the leg length to 10 waypoints, so you got to build multiple layers and multiple maps and stuff, and then you got to do some math and some conversions and stuff to do your timing, which is difficult. You can't do like you can at Basecamp, where you can just plug in a start time and say, what time am I going to be here? It takes a little more mental math to get it all down. But the ease of use, and then the ability to just have all of that available on your devices. And then also I think the sorting, the sorting, and there's a lot of magic you can do with spreadsheets and My Maps that I think people don't realize you can do. So no Basecamp.
All right. Don't start. If you don't have to, don't start. All right, question number 8. If you get a new motorcycle tomorrow, what is the first Farkle you're going to put on it?
I actually thought about this in reality the other day, because they came out with a new Gen 3 Hayabusa, and I entertained the idea of it. And I think, I don't think my seat would go like. I'm pretty sure the seat won't swap over. So I think the first thing I'd probably add would be my that quad lock mount to mount my phone, just because everything with my Bluetooth goes through my phone. Yeah. So that'd probably be the first Farkle. Maybe not the most important, but the first one.
Okay, we have talked at length about the Hayabusa. Do you have any other motorcycles?
No. I've got a dirt bike. I got a Honda 450 dirt bike and a bunch of dirt bikes for my kids and stuff, but no other street bikes.
Okay. And then that seat you were just talking about, who made it?
That's made by Seth Lamb at Lamb Custom Seats.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a local guy in Reading. Him and then also Russell Daylong are just down the road from me. Which is, kind of strange, but
nice problem to have if we having to pick who's going to make your seat. Yeah.
We've had more than a few guests come stay at our house that are coming from across the country to go get seats made, at various places. But yep, Seth at Lamb Custom Seats made that seat for me, and it's been a great seat.
All right, question number 11. What is your favorite or the most interesting place you've visited on your motorcycle?
I would say, oh man, I don't know. Me and my good buddy Ryan Nardo, we did a ride up to Canada. We did this big 5-day loop up through the Canadian Rockies, and then down through Glacier, and then across 12 over Lolo Pass a few years back. And one of the coolest parts about that ride was doing Icefields Parkway between Jasper and Banff. It was just an awesome experience. The road, it's kind of overcast and rainy a little bit, but high enough overcast to where you could see all the mountains and the glaciers. And we spent probably a day we were doing these big legs to get up there, and then we did about a 150-mile day where we went from Jasper and just kind of putzed around all the way down to Banff, and then hung out in Banff. And it was, awesome.
That is such a cool area. And
I would really like to go back up that way and spend some more time up there. I wanted to do that this year, but with COVID,
Yeah. I did that on Butt Light 8. I went up there, and the timing was such that I went to Lake Louise, but I didn't continue up and go on Icefields Parkway, and I regret the heck out of that.
Oh, really? You've never done that?
Right there. No, it was right there, and that's going to have to be something as soon as Canada opens back up.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
It's a must. Lake Louise was actually, I don't know, it's beautiful, but it's definitely a tourist trap too. There was people everywhere, just shoulder to shoulder people. But I would put it why.
I'd put it like Niagara Falls, where it's epic to look at, but it's epic to look at with a million of your closest friends.
Yeah, I was thinking Yosemite. It's one of these very space limited areas where you're looking at one specific thing, like Yosemite Valley, which is very confined, or Lake Louise, which is a beautiful, picturesque place, but man, everybody's there.
Yeah. All right, question number 12. How do you pass the time on a long ride?
I just do music. Yeah, I do music. I've tried I do a lot of podcasts outside of motorcycling. I do a 3-hour drive to work, so I do tons of podcasts, which are amazing, but I cannot do it on the bike. I just can't get into it. I can't get focused enough and pay enough attention to it. In a car, just droning along is one thing, but being on a motorcycle is different. So, I have music playing along in the background.
All right, one bonus, we'll call this the LD dozen, but I realized I was going to ask you this question earlier, and I didn't. Tell me about your water system on the bike, because I originally thought it was your exhaust, and turns out it's your water system. So talk about that thing.
Yeah, so like everything I've done with that motorcycle, I've really tried to kind of reinvent the wheel with how to make it as efficient and streamlined and integrated as possible. The fuel tank is built into the frame section to get the tank in there, the headlight and all that. But that water container, I started off with a Camelback in my tank bag, which worked well. It insulated enough to where it kept it cold, but but it just took up so much valuable real estate for me that I needed to get it out of there and build something to get a place where I could put a lot of water in it, keep it cold, and be low maintenance and out of the way. So I went through about 4 different variants of that tank, and the first few worked well, but the problem was if I spilled fuel in my ox tank when I overfilled, it would go into my water, which was
that's a problem.
Bad.
Yeah,
it's amazing. A drop of fuel in your water goes a long way. Yeah, so that was all bad. I had a bracket break on the version 2.0. Just went to zip ties, and then I ended up building a bracket system that was strong enough to hold a gallon of water that can just get beat to hell out there, through all of the paces that it's going to take. And I took a 1 gallon double walled insulated container, did some fitting work on it, and found actually a gas cap for a boat online that is just the perfect cap, because it's covered, so you could spill something on top of it and it's not going to get in from underneath. It's sealed and it's vented, so the water will drain out, and it works great. So it's all plumbed in through the bike and on a quick disconnect up top, so I can just disconnect everything and take everything off.
Wow. And
I got a gallon of water, so it seemed like about every other gas stop, so every 1,000 miles or so, I would I'd grab a big gallon of water and a couple Gatorades and maybe a green Monster or something, and slam that and pour a gallon of water in there, and I'd be on my way. But yeah, worked good.
Yeah.
And you didn't even really know it's there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What I didn't want to do was have one of those big Coleman cooler type style things that everyone else runs on their, touring bikes hanging off the side of this Hayabusa. It just, it was not happening. So.
Well, congratulations. You ran one hell of a rally. And like I said, you really kicked some butt in this thing. And it was, just... If you have a chance to go look at the score sheets, go look at Mike's score sheet and then compare it to other people's, and you'll see what a dominant rally he had. And it's something that people are going to be talking about for years to come, I think. But anything else you want to talk about before I let you go?
Just want to say thank you to the staff of the rally. I didn't really get the chance to do. I did to some people that were there, but man, what an operation that is to put that rally on. Yeah. I can't even imagine, not only dealing with, nearly 100 riders and all the staff and everything, but then doing that over, multiple locations across the country, where you got to pack up and move and reset up and break down and have all of just the little things, who's printing out this, who's got enough paper, who's got the cords, who's got this, I mean, I can't even imagine the logistics that go into putting that operation together. And it's just top notch. It is top notch from start to finish. I mean, even our rally packet, came in this leather bound engraved, it was just, it was amazing. So thanks to all of the,
okay, so we got this mug, and I'm looking at this side of it, and then I turn it around, and my God, they engraved it with our name and our number. It was just
mine's incorrect now. I need to go amend mine.
You need a new one.
I've got a real long 77,000 number or something on it now. It's I think 620. So
that's awesome. All right, that is Mike Brooke, the winner of the 2021 Iron Butt Rally. Congratulations again.
Thanks, Justin, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, if you'd like to get in contact with me, there's lots of ways you can do it. Easiest way is to head over to that website, www.longridersradio.com. And hey, another big shout out to the folks over at DiscountRamps.com for their support on this episode. DiscountRamps.com offers a huge selection of power sports products for your ATV, UTV, motorcycle, and more. Long Riders Radio listeners can save 15% on their order by using coupon code LONG, that's LONG, over at DiscountRamps.com. And as always, we need to thank this show's founder, Mr. Michael Cox. I was talking to Mike the other day, and I mentioned to him, hey, Mike, we're coming up on 100 episodes here. That's pretty amazing. What do you thought about the last 80 or so? And he said,
it gets very tedious and very tiring.
Ride safe, everyone, and congratulations again to Mike.